Contextual podcast. This is the Contextual podcast. Hulkamania 7-8 Steve-O the UK's number one
gaming podcast.
Woo!
And I've just realised I've pressed the fucking outro as the intro, but who gives a fuck? Anyway,
I like the Ric Flair reference at the end anyway. So
that is actually the references, you know, because and someone, a few said to me, is that actually you doing woo? Because it sounds like me. I said, no, it's not. I said, it's the guy who I've had to do it. But yes, sorry everybody. This is episode 21. It's a bonus episode. I've got my good friend Andrew Pez Hunter on. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, formerly Pez Hunter as well. Currently in transition, but yeah, good evening.
We do have some breaking news on that one, don't we, mate?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had a little bit of discussion on that recently because before we dive into our main subject tonight, as we've probably been discussing recently, after having a relatively successful tweet that I sent out about a recent episode of Black Mirror, one of the actors from it had actually reposted it, followed me, and then sent me a little message to say that he was quite impressed on how I'd composed it and the way that I'd gone about complimenting the episode. So I was like, I should probably do something other than trying to look for a Pez game that works. So Here we are broadening out and actually starting to, as we just discussed before we went live as well, elements around gaming, TV, music, and film, really, as well. I may as well do stuff that I'm actually doing at the moment rather than just promoting Pez.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it's quite interesting that we're going on a diversion because when we did the podcast before, me and Steve-O, we didn't have a lot of viewers because it's more, we generate the viewers afterwards. And as I build this, hopefully, we'll get more people viewing. Like we've got a couple of viewers now, which is good. But, yeah, we have already. We only had 3 people consistently viewing. It went up to like 10 or whatever, you know, like viewing it. Yeah. But as soon as me and Steve-O started talking about United, it fucking went to 0. I was just like, well,
it's because everyone's already gone through the mill with it already this season.
Yeah, they're fucking sick of hearing about us, aren't they, I suppose? But yeah, very, very apt that. I was laughing my head off because he can't see it either, Steve-O. So I'm looking at the screen here and I'm going, and I just said it. I said, oh, for fuck's sake.
About United again. Jeez.
Yeah, let's shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear about them. Everyone fucking hates us unless you're a fan. Yeah, so we were saying, weren't we, that what we're going to do is do a bit of a breakdown of what we've liked over the last year, games, films, TV, and then, you know, just sort of segue it from there, whatever else you can think of.
I don't know, like you, it'll probably be as much as, you know, especially having a young family as well, it's probably quite hard to either get to the cinema, watch all the TV that you can muster and potentially play all of the games that I wanted to as well. So my top 10 of everything like that is based on everything that I have played, watched. So yeah, and even like notable absentees that I'll hopefully pick up in the new year.
No, you go for it first, Sam, to be fair, because I sat there before after what we said we were doing, and we just before we come on air, I said to you I was struggling with top 10 games, so you go for it.
I think that was my caveat as well. When I was looking through games to jog my memory, either going through the trophies list of the PlayStation 4 or then going through everyone else's collated top 10s or top 25s and top 50s of the year, I was thinking it's actually been a pretty poor year for games. And especially, as we discussed before, on the release schedule of 2018 as well, there's so much more that's going to be coming out that we'll play. Yeah, even so much more AAA games, let alone the smaller games that have been released that I've probably played last year as well. We haven't even seen those that are going to come out. So, yeah, I probably did, in the end, scramble together and put a few on the back end just to actually make 10.
Yeah, so, I got to 8, and I'll be honest with you, looking at them again. No, in fact, I got 7 looking at this list, and there's only 2 that came out. There's 2.5 came out this year, and you know what the half is, don't you?
I do, mate.
So
that's not on my list.
No, because that 2-week segment for that fucking beta was amazing. And
yeah, that's true. Is that on there then?
Yeah, that's on there. And I literally could only go to 2.5 games, so I'll class that as half a game. The rest of them are games that come out back end of last year, couple of them a few bits, but mainly for what I've played because they what I enjoy. So
exactly, yeah. I'm not going to be going off other lists that everyone else. It's the ones that I've played and been immersed in as well. So
you go first, mate.
For number 10, and I know it's something we've discussed before, is Gang Beasts.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, for what it is, it's only a digital-only game as well. It's been developed by Bone Loaf as well and published by Double Fine, Tim Schafer et al. They've obviously produced some great little games. I was thinking I played a cracking little arcade game from them before, because obviously they've made Psychonauts, haven't they?
Yeah.
I played a lovely one called Iron Brigade as well, which I sunk quite a lot of hours into. The best way of describing Gang Beasts is that they all look like football mascots who've been out on the piss for about 14 hours, and they've entered into a particular arena, and somebody said, well, it's a fight to the death, and by any means necessary as well. So the controls themselves are purposefully awkward, and the aim of the game is either to get your opponent or a computer into, you could start in a level where the furnace in the middle and you're in like a factory and you've got to throw them inside the flaming furnace, or you'll have one where there's machinery and you have to throw them inside of that. The minute that I saw it, before I even played it, because obviously this game has been in development for years, I was pissing myself. And it was exactly the same when I played it. I played it with my sister and her boyfriend, and then I played it again with one of my friends as well. I don't think I could stream it because it would just be me crying with laughter for an hour while I was playing it.
Yeah, and I think the enjoyment of it is having people with you as well, because that random physics engine to it is quite funny.
Yeah, because it's one that is purposefully built like that as well, that, even somebody who's quite adept at it would probably still struggle or wouldn't be necessarily winning all the time as well. So I think that was probably half the battle with it as well. It's a quality little game worth all the money. I think whether it's still on the if you've got a PlayStation Plus account, the discount, it went down to about 14 quid. So for me, a little couch co-op game like that, it's well worth the money.
No, it's not even up for debate. I've said to you, we're going to hook up on this on your channel and play it. Definitely.
That's a great shout.
Yeah.
And then number 9, and again, it's probably just for the co-op element, and mainly just because it's probably got a little bit more depth than Gang Beasts. I'd actually put WWE 2K18. Now, that isn't without its problems in the same way, in exactly the same way that PES 2018 was as well, that it probably came out 80% complete, but thankfully and subsequently has been patched so that it is playable. But for me, that's another game that I would only ever play cooperatively and multiplayer wise as well. I probably won't sink a lot of hours into the career mode in it, but we've actually set it up now because you can actually buy, and you're obviously a man who likes his old school wrestling as well.
Yeah, as he's got his Hulk t-shirt.
Lovely. And I saw your Ric Flair t-shirt the other day as well. Very nice.
Which I've still not got on. I'm supposed to have it on tonight, and I've
fuck's sake, Chris.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, let the team down.
But you can basically replace all the new roster of wrestlers, of which I know about 2. With all the ones that you actually used to love growing up, so you can have them in the roster of the season mode that you can play, and you can basically sim to a pay-per-view. So we played it like that, basically. So in that, it's just a nice sort of little, a couple of beers, a few mates round as well. You don't necessarily need to be very adept at it. It works well.
Yeah, we were talking about that actually before, Steve, because the Sainsbury's near us had it for like 20 odd quid at Christmas, and I still didn't jump because of playing, as we all know, my fucking new favourite game, PUBG. But we saw it tonight, and he said, I've seen it in there for a tenner. And I said to him, I'm going to have to go out this weekend and get it.
I think if it's that, it's well worthwhile. Definitely.
Yeah. But what I would do is for 10 quid, I'll double dip, because I'll get it on the Xbox and the PS4. So then we can play it then. So I'll need to start playing on my PS4 more, because I'm hardly touching it at the moment.
No, I know what you mean. So that was nice.
Yep.
And then we actually started to get into some of the more meatier games as well. And as much as I'm not a necessarily big fighting game fan, Injustice 2, obviously made by the same people as Mod.
Very well reviewed, that.
It's very well reviewed across the board. I mean, because we didn't necessarily get that much time multiplayer-wise to play it with my friends as well. I probably didn't have it that long, but it's such a tight... I mean, the mechanics and the physics within the fighting game as well are great. All of your favourite characters are in there as well, from obviously Batman to Superman and everyone like that. The story mode's fine, and the story mode is tailored so that you can actually use the majority, if not all, of the characters in it as you go through.
Yeah.
And yeah, again for multiplayer, but not online. Jesus Christ, I would last about 3 seconds against some of the people, usually 14-year-old kids as well, just beating me bloody black and blue. So
Yeah, you got no chance with stuff like that.
absolutely no chance. But yeah, it looks absolutely beautiful as well. So that was my number 8.
Yes.
If you got to 8, what was yours?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go back from 10 to 8, and then you go again if you want. Well, saying that, because I've not gone off anything. As we were saying, I've not really gone off anything new. So probably at number 10 would probably be Rainbow Six. No, I know it's not just come out, but
it's obviously what you played this year.
Yeah, Rainbow Six is a great game. I'm not a patient gamer, so that's one of the reasons why I don't play a lot of campaigns. Not because I get frustrated and want to fucking smash things up. I can't be doing with getting killed on certain bits and having to do it again, knowing that the AI guys, like the new COD I've got. In fact, that needs to go. That was one I was thinking about before. I've not written it down, but that is on my list. But I can play them sort of games and I fucking get frustrated. Like even with the COD campaign, so good. But so Rainbow Six, great game with your friends. It's co-op really, online co-op as such. And the thing is, you have to be skilled at it. You don't have to be amazing. But obviously, there's no aim assist, so it's a bit like what's going on with PUBG at the moment. The aim assist, you've got to. Master that game and these little tricks that come with it. So it's a cracking game, and it's all about your headsets and everything. You've got to listen.
Yeah, so it's kind of imperative, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. You can have the best surround sound in the world, but like I'm finding that playing PUBG again is that I'm telling the guys I'm playing. We've just been playing 4 of us, and I'm like, there's someone behind us, and they're like, no, because they've got surround sound on, or they're playing it in the bedroom. And I said, so I keep saying to them, get a headset on. I said, it makes such a difference because you can hear. Things coming.
You've got the 7.1 headset with the digital surrounds. I've got the Sony ones as well. And I mean, obviously, it's incredible for watching TV and films on, but it's imperative for a game like that, isn't it?
Yeah. So Rainbow Six, great game. They're always expanding on the DLC and that, which is great. The next one, again, it's an old school one. Well, it come out about 18 months ago. Not even 18 months ago, about 40 months ago. It's Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Got it. Cracking game, played it, continued because I love Battlefield. And as I said before, I just got the new, I got the season pass for £7 because I got a £5 off Xbox for just some random reason. And then it's on sale for £12. So I pulled it out of the bag, and it's not in 4K properly yet on the Xbox, like the advanced ones, but it's upscaled anyway, and it's in HD. I think it's in HDR now.
I think the thing that I noticed as well with the 4K TVs as well, it's very hard to tell with the upscaled and original 4K as well.
Yeah,
we played that to death when it first came out. There was 3 of us that got it. And we played the and you'll have to forgive me of the name of the multiplayer mode where you're pushing forward into the different areas.
Well, it used to be Conquest. It's not Conquest. It's Operations now.
Yeah, Operations. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, great game.
The best multiplayer games in there. And again, there was people in there that were amazing, but as long as the teams were level, it was absolutely amazing. And it looks and sounds beautiful. Oh,
it's a great game. I mean, I've got it on both consoles, but I ended up playing it more on the Pro for the simple reason it was 4K upscaled, and it looks fucking ace, and it's a good game. I mean, I like the PS control pads anyway for first-person shooters, so I played a lot on that. So so number 9 would be Battlefield 1, and it's a great game. And I believe now it's getting better, like most Battlefield games. As the year of the casual gamer, and they've improved on everything, it's now a really good multiplayer. So I sort of need to go back to playing that, which is why I got the season pass, really, to make me play it.
Am I right in thinking, without prolonging the discussion anymore, but there's going to be a new Bad Company game?
I'm going to fucking cough now. Hold on. This man flu won't go away.
Tell me about it.
No, well, what they've said is there was a few snippets the other day. There's that YouTuber, Jack Frags, and there's another one who they mainly promote the Battlefield games, and he'd implied that a Bad Company game is in the works, and they've said it's not, but someone's saying it's going to be Battlefield 5 because it'll be 2 year. They work off a 2 year cycle, so there should be an announcement at E3 or even before that there's a new Battlefield game. It should be out in October, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Well, Bad Company's ace. I mean, you can play Bad Company think it's Bad Company 2 on the Xbox backwards compatible now with your 360 disc.
Where PlayStation missed the trick with that, really, haven't they? That's quality, that really.
Yeah, it is, to be fair. I mean, the PS Now is fucking wank. I won't pay to stream games and stuff. That
That PS Now stuff's rubbish. No,
yeah, it's fucking garbage, absolute shit. So I won't even entertain that. So what was that? Was that number?
That was 9.
That was 9.
What's number 8?
Number 8 is number 8. I'm going to say the PES 2018 beta.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when that come out, it was the game we've taught. I know we based the whole exactly. I know we based the whole podcast that we're always, even before earlier today, spinning that fucking PES wheel. But it just was a game of class, a game of everything that I wanted in PES. That it has lost. Even going back to the Masters League Online for 2011, it just had a hook that brought me in, and I thought, you know what, this is finally going to be the fucking Pro Evo. None of this false dawn bollocks. None of this. Let's rip him to shreds when it comes out. If that thing is exactly the same as what we're playing now, I would be happy. And everybody knew that they'd fuck it up. And as we've said for 20 episodes before this, they fucked it up. So that is my number 8, my friend.
Good. All right. My number 7 is season 3 of the Telltale's Walking Dead. Now, I don't know whether you know about any of these games before as well, but I've been able to keep up to date with them, even transferring from consoles as well, because Telltale did quite a nice little thing where you could actually get your save from another console. So I've been able to keep all of the choices that I've done from the previous 2 seasons. So basically, anyone that would have died, who you would have taken through the story that might be alive on other people's games, would be dead on mine, and that would then continue the story into season 3.
That's clever.
I don't really know any others, and I will talk about a couple on here that are in my top 10 as well, that are able to combine that sort of level of immersion with a story. Now, I know it's not the kind of same open game that you would have in, say, The Last of Us, which probably has equally as a compelling story as it does the physics of the gameplay itself. It's probably the hardest thing to do as a games designer. But for me, it didn't necessarily have the kind of tear-jerking endings that both season 1 and 2 had, but you can't pull away from it. It's perfectly timed in the sense that it's episodic, and each episode is 2 hours, so you could sit down when they were released. Now, I got them as a 1 so that I could play through them like more or less within a week. Yeah. But when they came out as an episode, you could sit down of an evening and complete it. I think that's a great thing to do. It's really good for the publishers. It's not like they're squeezing money out of people. It's just a nice way to ingest it and then wait for the next one to come out as well.
I think it's a good way. Like we were saying, for people like ourselves, as you're older, you've got time to play, and then you haven't got time to play because life, that's lost life. Like you said, it draws you in. They've done it with the Hitman games recently, haven't they? Where they've done it in episodes. Very good.
I think it is. Yeah, so maybe not as engrossed as I was in the last season, but the writing is still great, considering how many new characters there were in season 3 as well. So I think that probably shows the writing quality of the team who make it.
No, that's good. Fair enough.
Your number 7, mister?
It's an old one again. I've got quite a good. It's going to be Battlefield 4 again. Yeah. I'm quite, as everyone I've said this before, I am multiplayer king, and but Battlefield 4,
isn't it really?
Yeah, honestly, Andrew, but Battlefield 4 is without doubt, it's in my top 2 to 3 best games ever. I got it when the PS4 and Xbox One come out. It was the first game that I played proper multiplayer. I've never had a PC. Forgive me for the PC viewers that played in 60 frames per second. I know it was only 720 on the Xbox and one like shit, and it was 900 on the PS4. But I just fucking love that game. And to be fair, I played more hours on the PS4 than Xbox. Even now, if I put it on, I just find the PS4 pad better for that game when I play it. I can play it on Xbox. I love the Elite pad. I can play it now, great. But for some reason, it just draws me to making my PlayStation. It's one of the reasons I bought it. So, because I've always gone towards Xbox the last few years, maybe last 10 years. I was PS1, PS2. I never had original Xbox. So that was my thing, so I made me play it. But I just fucking love that game, and it's so populated that even now you get into 64. Yeah, it's so busy, and you can buy the whole game for like £3, and even the season pass is fuck all now. It's like,
yeah, again, that was another one that we played with our mates as well, and I loved it. I mean, I would choose Battlefield over Call of Duty any day of the week.
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, it sounds like I'm being fucking paid again, but that's why I like this fucking PUBG. As you can tell, it's going to be one of my best. But no, I know, fucking banging the drum. I'm sorry if anyone's listening, watching, but Battlefield, and I feel PUBG, even though it's got this sort of stealthy Metal Gear Solid side to it, it's an evolution of a Battlefield game in some respects, because not the shooting mechanics and that, because Battlefield, obviously, it's just open map. So you've got a map where obviously you're fighting as a team and all that shit. Whereas in Player Unknown, you're not. It's a 4. But I see it as an evolution of that open world sort of sandbox shooter. And that's why that game resonates with me, and by Battlefield does, because you've got more like COD. I love COD when it come out and all that stuff. COD 4 and everything. Modern Warfare 2 and 3 are one of my favourite. They were at the time one of my favourite multiplayer games, especially 3. And a lot of people slag 3 off, but I really like 3. And I prestige that loads of times. But once I started playing Battlefield properly, and it wasn't just a case of endlessly running down fucking corridors or some knobhead just shooting you from a top window of a sniper.
More depth, I think.
Yeah, just laying claymores down and shit so you can't get near him. So he knows you're coming up the stairs, and then just fucking shooting people, popping people from windows and all that shit. Can't be fucking doing with it. So at least on Battlefield, you've got that bullet drop. Now and again, you get headshotted, but a lot of the times you might take a shot, and you can sometimes get out of the way, or these ways you can kill people. You can fucking land on someone's head on a helicopter. I've done that loads of times. I'm good in the helicopter. So it's just, that always is one of them go-to. I've got 20 minutes. Let's just throw it on, and I'll just put it on and play it. And it never leaves me. So I've been playing that for 4 years now. Or 5 years.
5 years. Incredible.
5 years. Honestly, I love that game so much.
So my number 6.
Yeah.
My number 6 is Shadow Tactics, which, if you haven't heard, and the basic reference that I can give towards this is almost like an isometric, even though you can probably change the camera angle with your right stick, like Oriental Metal Gear Solid type stealth game. So it'd use like real-time tactics. So when you actually start, you are like a samurai who's trying to break into an enormous Oriental compound. So you can use your right stick to sort of survey the entire area, and then you have to use whatever particular qualities he has in order to get to a certain point. You can hide within bushes, you can sort of flit in and out of doors and stuff like that, but it purposefully keeps that isometric view. As you then progress through the game, you start to build up a squad, and each one has purposefully got better attributes than the others. So the first guy that you actually meet is like a bulldozer, and he's a lot better at hand-to-hand, so he can take out 3 or 4 people at the same time. So as you get through the game, you have to utilize the 5 people that are within your squad in order to progress. As you can imagine with something like that, it becomes very infuriating just because of that kind of stealth element, and having to, it's almost like it's like trial and error in order to see that if you can work through it with a particular character, and then you need to go back and you need to try and keep everyone alive at the same time as well.
Yeah, that's good.
But brilliant, and that was another one that I had promoted through Pez Hunter Twitter as well, and the guys who made it actually got in touch with me to say that, it's obviously very nice. So you can see that kind of indie relationships a little bit more sort of fruitful on Twitter, or at least on social media anyway. Well,
they need you like you need them, really. You're a paying customer who's fell in love with their game, so it's a good feather for your cap, and also for them as well. It's nice that someone who's got a social media footprint can promote a game like that. I've never played it, and to be fair, I've never heard of it. So
yeah, it's a very small game as well, but I mean, you'll probably see it probably quite high up on most people's top 10s as well. And it was that actually drew me towards it, because it got to that point where I was like, fucking hell, it's a bit thin on the ground for games. What else is there out there? And that's the thing that kept me. And it is relatively cheap at the moment.
No, that's good. That's really good.
What is your number 6?
Probably. Well, Forza 7 is one.
Yeah.
I got it when it come out. I got it for the Xbox One X, And again, it's another one that it's in my library of games to play. But the fucking graphics and that are just different levels. Yeah, and I do like the physics of Forza. Like I played a lot of Forza Horizon 3 this year. And that's supposed to be getting a 4K update in the next couple of weeks. But genuinely, Forza 7, outstanding game, and the detail, everything's great. It's just one of them ones, though, but you can't just pick that up and spend. And I know I've got to spend like a Sunday afternoon playing it, or like one of these. I can't just.
You got to save your brown points up for that, mate.
Yeah, I'm telling you, mate. Honestly, but again, other games have taken it over, but it's still there, and I still rate it as it is one of the best racing games I've ever played, without doubt. That's even going over like Gran Turismo 4 and stuff like that from years gone by. I loved all them games.
I think that was the disappointing thing for me, because I, not having a Xbox anymore, was relying on the new Gran Turismo coming out as well, which we obviously know was catered towards esports, and it was just an online-only game. And as we've spoken before as well, it's usually the offline modes of things like that that I really look forward to as well. And if you didn't have it online, the game was more or less redundant,
Well, it's a shame that. Sorry to interrupt. It's a shame because Gran Turismo pisses all over Forza in sales. So,
and it probably still did. And that's the thing, where they thought they can just make an online game. They can make more money out of getting people through their network, and they don't even need to make an offline career.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit disappointing. So
we're into the top 5 now. So go for it, pop pickers.
So this is a prequel based on an original story mode game that was, and it's obviously beautiful marketing by the guys who made it, which was based on the original Life is Strange series, which was free a few months ago as part of the PlayStation Plus free monthly games. So the original one is like a story-driven game again, where you play like a girl in a sort of mid-teens, and she's sort of going through the struggles of high school, but certain tragic events start happening, and she can control time. So the idea is that you would get to certain points in the story, you would understand what is going on, and you could actually reverse it and play it through differently, so that you could actually progress through that part of the game. So based on that, they'd obviously then release this prequel, because I think they are going to do a season 2 as well. And this is Life is Strange Before the Storm, which obviously touches on the aspects of the story from the first season of Life is Strange. And again, like a beautiful sort of story-driven game. The soundtrack is actually curated by a band called Daughter, which I'm obviously a very big fan of as well. So the music, and it's brilliant. The music in the original Life is Strange is absolutely amazing. I've actually got the soundtrack playlist on Spotify that I usually go back to quite a bit. But again, a little bit like Walking Dead, obviously heavily story driven as well. So you'll get to those things where you'll obviously have like 4 different choices of dialogue that you need to follow through, and then you'll have particular quick time events as well, in which you have to sort of shape the story. So there'll be like multi branches, and everyone won't have the actual same ending.
No, that's it's one of them things. I like what I like about your list, and it shows my naivety or my sort of my lane when it comes to gaming. Is you've picked such a diverse already, with the 6 you've already picked. It's such a diverse range of games. It sort of puts me to shame, really, because I'm picking generic fucking shooters. And
but they're all good ones, though, mate. I mean, they're not like, it's not like COD 1, COD 2, COD 3. They're all Battlefield games.
yeah. True.
I love those Battlefield games, and like I say, I mean, it's quite heartening to realise that I could probably go and pick up Battlefield 4 for a few quid, and there's still a million people playing it.
Honestly, you should do, because again, these are the sort of stuff we can play on the PS4 together. Because I'll always jump on that Battlefield 1. I'll always jump on that with you. Always, it's top games. But
I really like the kind of, I don't know, they're almost like interactive novels, really. I think obviously that kind of storytelling in the game, when people are able to put it to an interactive game like that as well. I obviously don't read anywhere near as many books as I would like to as well when I was doing my degree and stuff like that. So it at least gives me the opportunity to do that. And I really sort of appreciate that sort of that depth and that immersion that they can get within a game and a story.
And that's all you want, really. You want something that takes you away from
The humdrum.
Yeah, and it's down. There's no disrespect to my wife, your wife, or whatever. Yeah. Fucking Man United. But genuinely, there's no disrespect for that. That's the whole point of gaming, isn't it? It's to immerse you in the world.
Everyone else has their escapism, don't they?
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do.
EastEnders or MasterChef or anything like that. I'd rather play like a story-driven game like that as well.
Exactly. Well, as we speak, something has just happened, and I'm not going to say it while we're on here. I'm going to show you something at the end of this podcast when we've done it, just between me and you, and you'll be like, wow. Anyway, just some random things just happened. But it's good. It's good. Anyway.
So what is your number 5?
Right, now my number 5 is, I'm actually going to start going on about games that have fucking come out this year for a change.
Hey.
I know Forza 7 was, but yeah. Zelda Breath of the Wild, a fucking amazing game. And I haven't got a Switch, and I was on the verge of buying one just for this game. I was a big Nintendo fan when I was a kid. I was Sega mainly, but as a kid, my best mate had a SNES, so I never had a NES. I always had I had Atari Master System. Excuse me, Mega Drive. Because
I was exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like my best friend had a SNES, and we used to do it on purpose because we said we don't need a SNES. He's got a SNES, so we used to spend all day playing Mario Kart at his house.
Yeah,
and then we'd come home to he'd have the footy game wasn't too bad, to be fair. There was a footy game that actually wasn't too bad, and then like there was kickoff and things like that on it.
Yeah,
we used to play them, and then Sensi obviously was out. We'd love Sensi on everything, and excuse me. So when it comes to Nintendo, it's always seen as, for me, I've had GameCube. I never had an N64, which now I've got 2 N64s, which is quite ironic in there. And the games are great. The wrestling games are fucking ace. But the GameCube I had, and obviously the Wii and the Wii U had. The Wii was mainly just a family console, and the Wii board I used for fitness stuff I used to weigh myself on it all the time when I was losing weight because it's more accurate than the scales on that Wii Fit. Still got it in there, to be fair. But I've always seen Nintendo as like the childish alternative, and I know that's naive because there's some unbelievable games. I mean, Zelda: A Link to the Past was one of the first and probably only RPG games I've ever played. Sorry, Dark Cloud actually on the PS2, and Dark Chronicles I played with Sam. I love them games. Have you ever played them on the PS2, by the way?
Which ones?
Dark Cloud.
Yeah, possibly. I think so.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I would have done.
Good. Yeah,
I definitely would have done.
Well, on them.
That's the thing I was trying to jog my memory with having my Raspberry Pi, is just some of the ones that I played even as far back as the PS1.
Oh yeah, honestly, ace games. Well, so Nintendo's always seen as like a thing for me where I'd have it, like Mario Kart. I bought the Wii U from a friend of mine's son bought one, and he never used it. So he's getting rid of it for like £100. And I went, and he didn't have a clue what it was. So I went, I'll buy it off you. And he's like, you sure? I went, yeah. And Mario Kart was due out, Mario Kart 8, and that's all I wanted it for. And I hammered that game. I fucking hammered it. I love Mario Kart anyway, so I hammered it. Online, offline, great game. But never touched it. All it come out was when my nephews and nieces come round, because most of them have got Wii U's. The little ones like 5, 6, 7 years old, and they're all playing Pokemon or whatever. They all come round here, and I charge up the Wii U pad, and then sorry, Jordan's here. All right, Jordan. It's my daughter. She's letting the dog out.
That's all. I'll let her off.
But yeah, so I wasn't bothered, and then obviously me and Sam don't play a lot of games anymore together. So I said to her, I'm going to get Zelda, but I won't get in the Switch because I was really tempted to get it. I thought, no, I want the Xbox One X. And anyway, got it on the Wii U, and to be fair, I'm glad I did because we played it continually. We played 6, 7, 8 hours continual, but not even making a fucking proper dent in the game. And then I must admit the controls are quite intuitive. You know, like it's like playing this. I'm fucking going to say it again. But because I'm playing PUBG,
you have a little PUBG marker in the top left-hand corner. So
I'll have a shirt on next time, a PUBG sponsorship shirt. But because that's a PC game and you're trying to get PC controls, which is through your keyboard onto a control pad. Yeah, there's a few things that, even though I love the game, that piss me off because you're trying to shoe on something onto a control pad where realistically you can only have maybe 10 to 12 proper things that your fingers can do. So you're sort of double dipping on things, which doesn't really make sense. But I'm used to it. But that's what I felt with the Wii U, because it was designed for the Switch. The Wii U version is actually more sought after now, to be fair, because of the sales, because everyone bought it on the Switch mainly. But using that Wii U pad with the screen, which was good, but you're having to you're literally having to fucking hold it here and doing this with your hands to try and press the buttons and do certain things. So when you're in combat, it was quite difficult to engage on enemies. So,
Jesus Christ, I'm just looking at so the main story takes 44.5 hours to complete.
Yeah.
A completionist, so those that can go through and pick up all of the collectibles, 173 hours.
Yeah.
That's insane, isn't it? I mean,
brilliant game, mate.
Yeah, I would love to play. I didn't realize that it had come out on the Wii U as well. So has Mario Kart 8 come out on the Wii U as well?
It come out on the Wii U first. That's the thing.
It's not changed, does it?
No, it's just a port with a couple of extra things added in on there. Don't get me wrong. On the reviews, Mario Kart 8 on the Switch is the definitive edition. People have, it even says on some of the reviews that it come out.
Yeah.
If you've got it on the Wii U and you bought a Switch or you're thinking of buying a Switch, don't be put off that it's the copy of the game you've got, because it is a slightly better version. But the Wii U version got fucking great. So you can pick a Wii U up now for fuck all, really. Yeah, even a 32 gig one. So you've got them options for you. You know what I mean? The only problem you've got, please get, if you're going to get one, get a 32 gig one, because I got an 8 gig one.
Yeah.
Which fucked me over. And what you've got to do then, you've got to get a USB and plug it in, because I ended up having to get a 32 gig USB. And once you've plugged it into the Wii, you can never ever unformat it. So you can never. It does something to it.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's almost like when you put an SD card in a mobile phone. It does the same thing. It
just formats it to that. Like whereas you do it with Microsoft and PlayStation with a hard drive or whatever, or a USB, you can reformat them and stuff like that. You can't do it on the Nintendo ones. I've spent ages trying to do it with ones I've fucked up. So get a 32 gig is my advice. But a great game, such a good game. But it consumes your life, and we got to a point where I was thinking, we're not getting fuck all done here. You know, we're just spending.
I haven't had any vitamin C in 3 days.
Oh, unbelievable! Such a good game, though, mate. If you get a chance, so good.
I'd really like to. Yeah, I would. I'd love to play it. Number 4. Christ.
Yes.
Number 4. My number 4 is a game that I've probably played throughout the generations of it as well. So much so that I went and got the original version of it for the Raspberry Pi as well. Is the much anticipated Everybody's Golf game for the PlayStation 4. A game which I could probably best describe as your sort of nice old dear from next door could come around and pick up and have 9 holes with you and play it really competently as well. But at the same time, it still has lovely little sort of intricate controls that you can enhance the sort of playability of it in order to sort of get more eagles, so on and so forth throughout the game. The campaign mode is enormous. I'm still playing the campaign mode as it is. You have 3 different versions of the online play as well. So you almost have like an open world in which you can sort of compete on short-range holes, on 9 holes against each other. You have like a team-based campaign that you can play against each other, and then you have online tournaments. It's such a beautiful little game, and especially as we've mentioned before, like us, 9 holes would probably take you about 25 minutes to play, something like that. And that's how all the sort of separate competitions in it are played by 9 holes. It's 4K. It was probably one of the first 4K games I actually played on my TV typically as well. It looks beautiful. The best thing about it is that it sort of syncs up beautifully to just put like a really nice Spotify playlist on in the background and just play it. Multiplayer-wise, it's great. You can obviously play up to 4 people at one time as well. It's just a top game. And for the price it was, even when it came out, I think it was only 25 quid. So God knows what it is. It's an absolute deal. It's a top game.
Yeah, that's it's good diversity again, though. Something.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of disappointed that there aren't more sports games on the top 10 list. Because, again, that's what I dropped back to the Raspberry Pi for as well, was to try and get some of those old-school cooperative sports games as well. So I am disappointed that there aren't many sports games on here. But, yeah, Everybody's Golf, wonderful game. Would recommend it to everyone.
One thing, sort of just going off a little bit, is that thing I was saying. I've just soft modded. I know it's an old thing, but soft modded that Xbox, and that's got all the old consoles on as well as the coin ops. And I'm looking forward to seeing if there's any proper arcade footy games. I used to love some of them arcade footy games. You know, there's the.
I've been going through them all as well, like Super Sidekicks as well, like Temco World Cup, Striker, even like Striker 96 on the PS1. Mate, they still hold up. Some of them still hold up. The ones that you can actually realise when you're playing it, because obviously when you're playing it on the Raspberry Pi, you can put infinite coins in it, can't you? Yeah. You're thinking, I can now understand why I sunk about 20 quid into this game, because it's impossible to get past the quarterfinals. But yeah, wonderful. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, well, I saw your thing before about like some of them weren't working. So I want to see. I'm waiting on a hard drive splitter to come to. You've got to clone the old 8 gig hard drive of the Xbox with I've got a 500 gig one going on it. So I've got like you plug up you put the wire into the disk drive, and then the splitter goes off into both of them, and because you can't use the hard drive unless it's plugged into the disk drive for some reason. I don't know, it's something the way. Okay. But if you have the splitter, you sort of, I don't know how it works, but you take the disk drive 8-pin wire out, just slightly out, so it's still connected, but not enough so it's clipped in, and you slightly push it out, and then you do it off, and then you clone to your new hard drive. It's just some thing that they come up with, this soft mod thing, but everything's done on it. So when that comes, I've got the CoinOps 8 to put on, which is like, it's like 250 gig worth of games and consoles, Amigas, everything. So I'll give you a shout if it works, because it's not took me long. It's just been a ball ache. I've made some mistakes along the way, but I like doing that, and then sort of
that's exactly what I got as well, to a certain degree as well. As obviously, as we've mentioned before, Insert Many Coins on Twitter as well was the one who kind of set me up with it as well. But I've been doing quite a lot of the sort of development work in the background. What is your number 4?
My number 4 is, and it's only on the campaign, is the COD World War II.
Wow.
Honestly, I do like the campaigns, and I always play them on veteran. I'm not someone who can go online and get a 10, 15 fucking kill streak. I'm not. I'm usually a 1-to-1 player when it comes to COD. I might have 1.1 kill death ratio. I'm not the best, basically. I'm not the worst, but I'm not the best. But when it comes to the campaign, I seem to be able to do okay at the harder levels. But there is bits on this where it's like fucking infuriating, like I was saying before, where you've got the same guy just turns up and you're like, how the fuck is he shooting me? Because it's on veteran, so he's literally one shot, one kill. But the overall feel of the way they've done it, in like this chapter-based thing, I think it's really clever. And I mean, I know it sounds daft to put it in my top 4, but I've enjoyed it so much. Again, but obviously other things have stopped me from playing since Christmas. So, but I will get back to that in the next couple of weeks. I just thought it was ace. I'm about halfway through, and even now I can tell that by the end of it, you can just tell, can't you, if it's going to be shit. And I know I've probably sank about 6 or 7 hours into it already, and it's a really good game.
Yeah, that you're not the first person to say that either. I think that's quite promising, really, isn't it? From a game that relies so heavily on its multiplayer side, that they would invest quite a lot of time in the networking side of it, that they can actually put together a really competent campaign. Good stuff.
Yeah, they were saying as well that apparently it's 9 weeks. It's been top of the charts in the UK. COD again. This is the first time it's been like that. It's consistently for about maybe 3 or 4 years, because it's just died on its arse, hasn't it? Because this stupid flying shit that's gone on. And wall jumping and that sort of copying Titanfall. So it's like it's gone off. But yeah, so that's my number 4 anyway.
All right. So here we are in the top 3. Good grief. Easily in my top 3, which again is another story-driven game as well. But I was really glad to see that it had actually entered into the majority of people's top 10s right across all the magazines as well. Is another sort of story-based adventure game called What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, right. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. So you'll have to.
It's beautiful, and again, it's strange because whereas some of the other story-driven games either would give you multiple options in order to sort of change how the story is going to pan out. It's like like one of those books that you had as a kid, where you'd have the choice at the bottom of the page, and it would say go to page 406. And that's where your story would be. it's not. It's kind of linear like that as well. But again, the story is so sort of beautifully put together. It's by Giant Sparrow as well. But again, I would check it out. It's on Xbox One and it's on PlayStation. So it's obviously done from a first person perspective, and it's about a lass who goes back to sort of recover stories from a house that the family Finches used to live in, and there's kind of a tragedy beset on the family, where you realise that they're all kind of set with this strange tragedy of passing away, and it's about the person going back to the house recalling like the sort of family tree. So you get a little book that she gets at the start as well, and it goes through all of the members of the family. It's an absolutely beautiful game, and again, it's 12. That's the best thing about these story games as well. They're not much over a tenner, but again, really immersive. The music in it is absolutely beautiful as well. And like I say, I'm really, really glad that it's actually been in the majority of people's top tens, because it's a beautiful game.
No, that's good. That's really interesting on that. I'll do the sort of stuff that what I end up doing when we've done something like this, because you've brought loads of games that I wouldn't even dream of even looking at, and I know there's a lot of indie games that are just totally ignorant to be honest. I see them, I'm like, well, I'm not going to play it, but it makes me go on YouTube and check stuff out. You know what I mean? Because it's respect. We spent time with these game developers, didn't we? As some of the that Play Expo, and I know that was only a small segment in their life, but
tears that they go through as well. I just think it's great, because realistically, the longest that you would get out of this story is 3 hours. So it's like an episode from The Walking Dead. But you got to think that these publishers are probably tiny as well. But it would probably be as good as any TV episode or any game that I would have watched this year as well. But again, you've got that interactive element of actually playing it. Yeah.
No, that's fucking good. That's really good.
Number three, Chris.
Number 3 is FIFA 18, but the pro clubs.
Okay.
Nothing else. I've gone on about it before. Simply for the reason is, obviously I'm 39 now, but I've got like there's 9 of us, and I'm the oldest of like 9. So I've got 3 brothers and 5. Can you fucking count? 3 brothers and 5 sisters. And as I said before, we said gaming for us, having so many kids and that is one of the reasons. I was saying this before to Steve. It's one of the reasons why I don't play a lot of single player campaign stuff. Also, is because even though we've gamed since he was a kid, it's all about playing multiplayer games with my brothers and sisters. Other than GTA, which obviously was when I'd left home by when GTA had come out. Anyway, I was like, obviously Grand Theft Auto 1 and all that was a top down on PS1. But when GTA 3 come out, I'd already left. I was married and everything, so I got that. And I played through stuff like that. I love GTA. I play the campaigns on GTA because it's something that interests me. But my thing is always going to be about that sort of, immersion. So what we do is in our pro clubs team is myself, my brother Adam, he's like 18 months younger than me. He's like the next one down. Then I've got my other brother Javier. He's 24. He's actually best mates. That's one of the reasons where me and Steve-O met, because he's Steve-O's best mates. So they went to school together in that years ago. So Javier's he's in the team. I've got Kyle, my nephew, he's 17. I've got my sister, Felicity, she's 19. And then I've got obviously Jordan, he's in the team as well. My daughter, who's 17. So they're all gamers. So it's like we all play.
Do you all play locally as well?
No, we play online on the clubs.
Yeah.
So we all meet. The only problem is, it just kicks off to fuck, and it's
but it's great that you get the opportunity to do that as well. I think one of the problems that we found as friends from all of my mates that have actually got PS4s is finding something with that sort of consistency that we want to go back to, and having the actual hunger to pick it up again. Because for me, like the last game that we really played to death like that was a PS4 exclusive game called Helldivers, which was a sort of co-op game. So it's great that you've got something like that, and especially something that you can, not only that, but you're probably being able to catch up with your whole family as well. So it's probably quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Other than my brother Adam, he lives in Llandudno now. He moved down there about 18 months ago because he's from there. Yeah, it's lovely where I love going down. We go down there regular. At the moment, we go down about once a month. I love it. It's between Conway and Llandudno de Garnway lives. It's so nice, so nice. I probably said that wrong. He'll fucking tell me off, but it's lovely. So he's the only one who doesn't live around here. So like, obviously, if Jordan's upstairs, my sister, and my brother, they live in the same house there in Old Trafford, and then Kyle lives in Stretford. So even though I'm in Ernston, there's only a few miles between us. So,
between you, yeah.
And the good thing is, what'll happen is if say there's one of them on, like me and Kyle are playing a lot of PUBG at the moment because he's well into it like I am. But then if he'll just say, do you want to play clubs? Well, only two you can play clubs, which is good because you can have one who controls the whole team, and then you've got one, you just plays your character.
Yeah, I think I'd have played a variation of it beforehand on some of the old versions of FIFA.
It's good. It's good. The only problem you've got is there was a lot of problems with its servers when it come out, which fucked it up from where we were mid-game and it just kicked people out. Like me and Jordan being in the same house, I had to start... Not for ages with Xbox. I started assigning static IP addresses and everything, especially to Jordan's because she's wireless. Mine's wired in, you see. She's above. So I've had to piss about doing that because she was getting kicked. As soon as I come in the room, only game it did it on, as soon as we started playing, she'd get kicked out of the match. So it's that's inherent with EA anyway. That's fucking notorious with pro clubs. But yeah, good. That's me number 3 anyway.
Well, I tell you what, mate, I really toyed with this as well because I've definitely spent a lot more time on one than the other. And that's not necessarily out of choice, but just in how not necessarily addictive it is. But again, we go back to being able to pick something up and play it for a few minutes and put it away. But a solid second, and it's only for the game that kind of precedes it that I'll say that Dirt 4 is easily my second favourite game of this year. I'd not played a rally game for a long time as well, and obviously Dirt 4 comes from the old Colin McRae series, of which I've played some on the Raspberry Pi as well. But what I was wanting, after the disappointment of obviously Gran Turismo, this was the game that I invested so much time in, but it's so rewarding because it has 3 very sort of different and distinct modes in it as well. So you have the original, say if you play it from a single player career, you have the original rally modes, of which you obviously just do the time trials and you do a championship throughout, and then you have to sort of race in different car classes. You have the American buggy mode as well, which initially when you try to drive those like Land Cruiser buggies across a dirt track is like trying to control a headache. And then you have the Rallycross mode, which is basically 5 or 6 cars all going at the same time as well. And you have to do sort of 3 or 4 laps of the same track. But within the track, there's an extra part of the track that you have to do once, which is called the Joker lap. So it's quite tactical within the race, which is either 4 or 6 laps long, depending on what stage of the actual race you're on as well. I never genuinely thought I would have played it as long as I did, but I think the one thing that's benefited of, which is brilliant for modern day gaming and being able to source stuff out on the internet, you've got so many people on there that have created YouTube series that have actually set all the cars up for all the particular tracks exactly how you need to.
Oh, that's clever.
The best thing is you can set it up as a full simulation if you're that good at the game as well. And I know some people who've played it, you know, and they'll have the steering wheels with the bloody gears and the foot pedals and everything like that, and they can put everything on manual. That to me, I'd probably be sick within 30 seconds of driving the car. You can, there's like a really good measured approach that you can have with it as well. So you can play it almost, I'm kind of somewhere between arcade and simulation as well. It's absolutely amazing. I genuinely, I was really taken back. I think it's probably one of the best driving games that I've played for a long time as well. And I'm still playing it now. I'm still playing it now. And there's still like quite a lot with it. I'm on to like the final sort of career mode, which is the Triple Crown, which is basically a combination of the classic rally, the sand buggies, and then the rallycross as well. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I've just gone through some of the races beforehand and the kind of endurance races. So you can imagine how much concentration. So it's the sort of thing that late at night I just can't play at all. But some of the rally courses are like 10, 12 minutes long as well. So I almost need to lie down in a darkened room after doing some of the races.
That I must admit, go back to Forza, that's one of the reasons. The career mode's great, but when you've got to do an endurance race, and I'm thinking, it's 23 fucking laps, and each lap's like 1 minute something. I'm like, oh my! And if you fuck up on some of them corners, you're never getting it back. Because I'm like you, I'm pretty good at the racing games, but again, a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine, they're like, they take the ABS off, there's no racing line. I don't have the racing line on really, all that sort of thing. But I always drive automatic.
Yeah,
I should. I should do manual, but
it's tough. I think maybe if you had the steering set up, it's just way too tough. I've tried it on this as well, and like you say, it's just too much concentration. I need a nap afterwards if I play it on manual gears.
Yeah, it's well. Jordan's upstairs. Jordan loves Formula One. Absolutely loves watches out all the practices, fucking everything to do with Formula One. She's just, I don't know where she gets it from. Because I didn't mind it as a kid, but only because there was never usually a fuck all else on a Sunday afternoon. So you used to have to sit there watching with the 4 channels, Nigel Mansell and stuff.
Well, yeah.
So I watched it, but there were not only as I've got older, it's like I can't fucking sit there. But she's just.
Well, that got really good reviews, didn't it, this year as well?
Like I say, it's so good, mate. She's got it upstairs, but she went in her birthday in October. She wanted the steering wheel. So I went to game. She had money. It was 80 quid. And it was the Ferrari F435, I think it is, edition. And it works. What you've got to do, we couldn't get it working at first. You have to plug it in controller 1 and not have a control pad on, because if you've got a control pad on, it doesn't register it.
Okay.
Because you've got it in the first one, it doesn't register the second port for your racing. So, got it all set up, and basically, you need a fucking desk, or you need proper.
Yeah, I've just not got that set up at all. No. Unless I had it on a dinner tray, for God's sake.
Well, actually, funny you should say that, because that's exactly what I did. Because honestly, I'll send you a picture in a bit. I'm not bullshitting you. What I did was, I got one of the dinner trays and I put it on it, because you've got these like weird. They're sort of like.
Yeah,
like it's like that, really.
Yeah.
It sits like that.
Yeah,
and they're on legs. So where the steering wheel's here, it's like a weird thing. But she couldn't have it on her knee. So as soon as you're on your knee, the whole steering wheel's going with her. So she was pissed off. So I said, "Let me think." I said, because obviously you've got the pedal and that, and then we've got laminate flooring. So it's like we had to sort of wedge it against the unit because it's fucking slipping. So I went and got a dinner tray about this wide. I got me drill out my van. I just drilled it through slow, because obviously it's plastic. I fucking broke the first one, went too quickly through it. Set it on 1 slow. I just nudged it, went through, and it goes. Obviously, the steering wheel attaches to these legs, just on a thread. Yeah. So put it through, put it on a knee, and it was fucking ace. But it's the two twitchy steering wheels anyway, so it's right across the knee. She's got the pedals on. It works with a Formula One. I haven't tried it with Forza. I said I'll have to bring it down and play it on Forza 7, because she'll never play that now, because it is really
it's too twitchy.
But that was only 80 quid or 70 quid from game, that steering wheel.
It's quite steep, aren't they, stuff like that as well. But yeah, that is easily one of the best games I've played this year. I mean, I would still think in a top year full of good games, it's the perfect game for me, being able to pick it up and play, because you could just do a race in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So top game. What is your number 2?
Well, this has torn me. Yes, badly, because obviously the last month has been a revelation of my wanking myself silly over a certain game, which isn't even completed. But my favourite, unless this game, PUBG, is probably going to go up there as one of my best games ever. I can just tell that already. But my number 2 has got to be PUBG, because I'll explain when I go to my number 1 in a minute. But PUBG is just totally took me by surprise. That I'd not even heard of the game until about June. It come out in March on the PC, an early thing, and obviously now it's got something like 3 million concurrent players. It's got, I think the biggest game on Steam was that is it Dota or Dota, whatever it's called? Yeah, Dota. And I know a lot of people play that other game which is similar. Is it? Fuck it. There's one called Arme, is it, or something? There's another game. Is it H something they play? They play another game which is quite similar.
Anyway, if you were to go onto Twitch, it'd be the thing.
Yeah, it's one of the big games they all play. It's the same sort of scenario, I think, where you're looting and that. And
it's Armour 2, isn't it? Is it not that one? Which is based off DayZ.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's like a very big game. So you had that, and then obviously all of a sudden, around June time, I just started watching stuff. Not before June, sorry, it was May. And I started watching, thinking, what the fuck is this game? Because you go on the forums, like, obviously NeoGAF's on its arse now, but NeoGAF was the big forum and stuff. And you go on there and like, there's fucking 10,000 people commenting on this game, PC game. I'm like, what the fuck is it? So I then started twitching and going on YouTube and watching the videos, and I'm thinking, fucking, this looks ace. And then fucking, I even tried to get it running on my Mac, partitioning Windows, and it just couldn't even fucking run. So it's like, I didn't pay for it, luckily. I won't say where I got it from, but obviously it was acquired, shall we say. But it just didn't run. It runs like a bag. So I thought, well, I'll wait. And I'm not going with keyboard and mouse anyway, so I've got to use a controller. The controller support's only just come. So when fucking Microsoft announced it at E3, I was fucking over the moon. I was like, I've got a fucking thingy, because my nephew, like Kyle, he was like, I've got to buy a gaming PC, you know, to play it, because all the Twitchers, obviously he's 17, but all of the people who are into Twitch and that's all he went on about. So, and all the ones he follows, like that KSI and all them, I think they all play him, all them, like the side men and stuff. So it's like, so that just come from nowhere. And to be honest, I've not seen a game take the gaming world by storm since COD 4, if I'm being honest. When that come out in 2007, when that come out in 2007, Modern Warfare just fucking ripped through everything. You know what I mean? PS3 and Xbox 360.
So my question is, why has it not had a PS4 release?
Well, what they've said is, I think Microsoft were being very cute, because apparently that Brendan Green, who invented, he's PlayerUnknown basically. He has worked on other games before, and what's funny is, it's run off the Unreal Engine 4, which is Epic. But then Epic went in. They helped him develop this game on Unreal Engine 4, because it's their engine. And then they've brought Fortnite out, which runs off Unreal Engine 4. And he's kicked off saying they're just copying him. But it's like, well, you're using their sort of, you know, software and everything. That island, apparently that island's off another game, I think.
Huh?
That island's been, was its assets and that are off something else I was reading. Off another game, because he's very respectful. He's a good guy. But what they've done is, I think, he needed a proper publisher, because in China and that, it's fucking huge. Bluehole, who are sort of publishing it and in thingy now, I don't think they realise the sort of size of the game. So Microsoft, I mean, the thing is, I think what they're saying is Microsoft are going to give full keyboard and mouse support at some point. They reckon that's coming with the Xbox. It's never, they've always had the PlayStation 3 had peripherals like that, but there wasn't the games for it, and you could never use, like, you can't use it on COD and stuff like that, because they'd just be fucking killing you for fun, you know. But it was stuff that they were looking at doing, so it's probably something they're going to do down the line. They might even have separate servers, someone was saying, but what they've brought the exclusivity of it, but there's still this grey area where when they're asked, is it coming on the PS4, or they're just like, we've got console exclusivity. So I think I saw something the other day, the main guy in China, that Bluehole, who obviously owns it and everything, he said that he wants to bring it once they've got the PCs out now, or they're patching it. It's that 1.0, so it's actually a full release game. But because the Xbox is still in development, they want to get a full developed version out of the Xbox. But what they were saying is PlayStation don't allow games in this state on their sort of ecosystem.
They need to be complete as a complete
as such, which is bullshit, because there's certain games that I've played on the PlayStation where they fucking well, yeah, exactly, yeah, and they won't fucking patch into fucking death to even get them playable. Which you're right, yeah, very true. That's a great example actually. And so what they were saying is they wouldn't allow an early access thing. But I've played games I've played like Warframe and stuff like that on the PlayStation. I'd tell you each game I used to love, and it's totally going off a segue here, but I fucking love that game. Do you remember what's it called? Thingy Hawk, is it Warhawk? That was
it wasn't it? Yeah,
I love that game. PS3, absolutely. That was a bit like PlayerUnknown. Obviously, you didn't do the looting, but you got dropped in the map and you had the tanks. And I love that game on PS3.
It's a great concept, isn't it? And very
so good.
When it's obviously done well, it works beautifully, doesn't it?
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I've gone off on one there, but that's one of the reasons it's not on the PS4 yet. So you might get an announcement next year.
It's definitely worth talking about, because it's something that's gaining so much traction. I think it has to be sort of multi-console at some point, definitely.
It's either that, or it's just going to console. It's a console seller, because Xbox is so far behind PlayStation when it comes to sales. It's something they had to pull off really to get people playing.
Yeah,
because it's like a 3-to-1 ratio in sales with a PS4 to Xbox.
I don't think it'll be like that for very long.
No, I don't think I think PlayStation's stagnating at the moment. I really do.
They definitely need to get rid of that PlayStation now because that's an absolute bag of shit. That's not the way to play old PlayStation games at all. No way.
Go on then, the big drum roll.
It has to be Horizon Zero Dawn. It is not just one of the most beautiful games of the way that it plays, the way that it looks, the story, the characters, everything about it, the freedom to go around. It is the perfect combination of an action game, second only to, I'm sure if The Last of Us 2 had come out this year as well, I'd probably be saying that, but second only to The Last of Us in terms of the story as well. It was something that surprised me because I wasn't expecting the story.
Yeah.
Because they'd obviously kept it at bay for quite a bit and for quite some time as well. It was only the playable stuff, and because it has the most frightening thing about it is the photo mode within Horizon Zero Dawn as well. That I'd almost spent as much time in that because of how detailed it is. It's like Photoshop within the world of it. So you could basically pause the game and turn around and have all these different sort of settings. You could position your character differently as well. And you could have all these beautiful picture postcard settings. I think several of them have been the background images on my PS4 for about the last year.
Deal.
For how long they've been out. It is just the perfect combination of an incredibly immersive story, beautifully rendered characters, each sort of enemy that you face. So the basic premise is that you are dropped into what looks like a very prehistoric time, but are these incredibly futuristic dinosaur-looking creatures as well that seem to sort of have taken over. But the more that you actually play through the game, you realise that humanity, as we know it, has already passed, and you're playing in the ruins of an old world as well. But the way that sort of premise sticks and then the story unravels as you go through as well, it's beautiful, and it just plays alongside the incredible gameplay. And again, you can probably drive through the main story in no time at all, but it's one of those where you actually feel like you want to go out because you want more of the different weapons, you want more of the different armor that you get as well, in order to sort of get through the game a little bit easier. And it's got a great payoff at the end as well. It's got such a wonderful ending, and like a great, like when you have the particular boss battles as well, you're kind of in awe. I'm really glad that I've been able to see it in 4K as well, because I'd obviously played it a long time before I actually got my telly. So yeah.
No, that's good. That's really, and to be fair, the reviews at the time were like 7s and 8s. There was no real. There was a couple of 9s and 10s, but usually if something's going to be, 9s, 10s, everything. And obviously it was Guerrilla Games who made this, wasn't it? Who made Killzone and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I found is by watching stuff, sort of looking myself, because obviously doing something like this where you're doing a review of your games or whatever, it's on everyone's top 2 or 3 games of the year. And I think that's where sometimes the reviews don't do it justice, if you know what I mean. Because I've not played it. I've not played it at all. Just for that reason, because like we were saying, if it's a single player sort of thing, unless I know it's an absolute one of the best games ever, I won't pick it up. And because it got 7s and 8s, which is wrong, but I just thought, no, I'm just not gonna.
Yeah, there's no way. I can't see that for me. The lowest to be able to score it is probably like an 8, 8.5 or something like that as well. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no bugs in it. It's never been patched. It was a perfect game from day one as well. And only recently they've released a DLC for it, which has got like the same marks as the original game itself.
Yeah,
which is called Frozen Wilds. And thankfully now, for anyone who actually hasn't picked it up post-Christmas, you can pick up the Game of the Year edition, which has both the original game and that DLC in it as well, because that'll be one of the things I'll be going back to.
No, that's good. That's good. It's money. The thing is, if it's something you're into, it's value for money anyway, at any price, isn't it?
Easily, right?
So
it is.
So as I've absolutely creamed myself over PUBG and dropped it in literally every other sentence that we and you have talked about.
You've done very well, mate.
There's one game that is my best ever game series. It did not come out this year. It came out last October. I think it was October the 4th last year. And since 2006, this game, as you know, this game series has just been my life when it's come to gaming, alongside Battlefield. But I've put this year alone, I've put probably maybe 80 to 100 hours on a multiplayer. Absolutely love this game. And the campaign I completed last October, literally as soon as I got it. And I've gone back to it a couple of times to try it on sort of insane and not thingy. But my game of the year is always going to be Gears of War 4. Because just for sheer multiplayer stupidness and shotgun fucking thrashing and just the hours. Me and Steve all played it a lot this year, and I play it on my own, and I just fucking love that game. The only negative, which I've mentioned before, is the season pass was about as fucking useless, as useful as the chocolate fire guard, because it didn't mean fuck all. It just meant that I paid £400 for a console, the Gears of War console. You got the season pass, you got all this shit that you were supposed to get with it. And I've said this before, but you or Steve-O can just come online with me and you can play on all the maps that I've paid for because you're in my games. And it's just fucking ridiculous. So, but for sheer Gears, and I know you're a big fan of Gears 2 and the Horde mode and that. With
Gears 1 and 2, I probably wasted several years of my life playing that with my friends when I was back home in the Lake District as well.
Exactly, quite rightly. Great games, great. And obviously it's the Coalition now, it's not Epic Games who make it, but you've got that Rod Ferguson who was there from the start with Epic and stuff, and Microsoft took him on and put him with the Coalition to sort of oversee it. So he's there now. So he's still got that Gears feel to it. It's just a shame that this pack opening bullshit has ruined the game, because all you get on the Facebook pages will go, we've now released a character, like my character from the original Gears all the way to Gears 3. I always play as Damon Baird.
Oh, Baird. All right.
I've got the figures in there and everything. And
I've got Dom. I've got the Dom figurine on my PC desk as well. I was always Dom.
Yeah, Dom. Rest in peace, Gears 3. But I genuinely always played as him, and he's only just come available. But you've got to fucking grind the game to open the packs, and you've got to pay money, and you're not guaranteed to.
Well, hopefully,
that.
Hopefully, since everything's come out with this as well, we'll start to see less and less of that as well, because it shouldn't exist in modern day gaming. It's a shameless way to get money off people, and especially kids who would probably have the parents' credit card details as well.
Yeah, exactly. But that is my 2017 Game of the Year.
That's wonderful, isn't it? That's a really good. I think that's a very, very eclectic mix between the two of us, really. And it's obviously made me realise there are certain games that you've gone through that I'd really like to pick up as well.
Yeah, I need to broaden my horizons, I think, more than anything when it comes to games, literally.
But I definitely wanted to touch on, because obviously my top 10 was based on everything that I'd actually played through 2017 as well. So there are some notable absentees that actually would have been on quite a lot of other people's top 10s. And the first of which obviously being Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because there's quite a few of us that own PlayStation 4s as well, we tend not to try and buy the same games unless it's something that we can actually play online together. So we're quite conscious of doing that as well. So thankfully, once I've actually blitzed through Wolfenstein or Dirt 4, if anyone else actually wants to pick that up, that'll definitely be one of the first games I'll be playing, Assassin's Creed Origins. The other one, which actually sits in my under my TV at the moment, is Wolfenstein 2, which has obviously been very well documented from quite a lot of reviewers right across the internet as well, which I can imagine just by looking at the introduction that I've sneaked on for a bit and then realised I was too tired to play it. Looks absolutely incredible.
No, great game, I believe. Very good game.
Number 3 is, again, a lovely little indie game called Thimbleweed Park as well, which is another one of those kind of story-driven games as well, where they've kind of done like a strange like X-Files type thing. It's like an 8-bit sort of X-Files story-driven platformer game, which looks beautiful and, again, will cost literally nothing on the PlayStation Network. Excuse you. Sorry.
Yep.
2 more as well, one of them being Persona 5, which is absolutely massive, obviously, in Japan, which came out here and has been it's been enormous and on a lot of people's top 10s list, Persona 5. And the last one is Hellblade, which was one of the ones that we spoke about before when we were talking about like microtransactions and stuff like that, and people trying to get extra pennies out of game. These were a tiny company that actually made a game, and it's a treatment on it's a little treatment on mental illness within the game. Beautifully handled by all of the reviewers that have said it's a story that handles the subject beautifully as well. It's a single player campaign. It's relatively short as well. It's not that much money, and it's actually made them a profit. So it actually shows you don't always have to do loot crates and everything like that just to make money off your game. So that's it. So there's still a handful there that I'm quite looking forward to playing in 2018 before everything else bloody comes out. Jesus.
No, I think for me, these a couple ones. One of them I will do. We've both said this is Gang Beast. That's definitely on the radar. I'm going to actually buy that probably this weekend, and we'll do something together. Definitely. One of the other games I've got, and I've got that on both systems now because it's coming on EA Access. I bought it on the PlayStation because of Steve-O's recommendation, and we fucking very rarely played it together. But what a game, and the multiplayer, and it's very cheap. If Andrew, he's there, Titanfall 2. It's okay. I love the first one. I love the whole concept of Titanfall. Played the beta on the Xbox, everything, because it was only on the Xbox One originally. And then obviously the second one went out to everyone. And now Respawn, who make the game, it's the actual guy who, what's his name? Vince, whatever he's called. He's the original creator of COD 4. So he's... they're under EA now. They've been bought out by EA. So I don't know what they're going to do with Titanfall 3. But the actual second one, it's just the same as the first. The shooting mechanics, ace game. I've spent a few hours playing it all across both systems. And the campaign's very much like Portal. You know, they all like Half-Life, Portal. It's very much that sort of feel to it. Which is a great game. The multiplayer's fucking ace. So that's one you can pick that up for next to nothing now on the PlayStation. That's definitely one I'd look into. But that's it, really. What for next year? They're the stuff I've got to catch up on. Sort of honorary mentions of things.
That's exactly the same with me. Before, like I say, we get into the cavalcade of games that's going to arrive next year. Granted, quite a lot of them don't actually have confirmed release dates, but I would have thought quite a lot of the big guns are going to be at the back end of next year, aren't you? Like Red Dead Redemption 2, Last of Us 2, Anthem. And there's loads. Even that, like I saw it before on the PlayStation Access YouTube page as well. The Dragon Ball Z fighting game looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it does look good. That, doesn't it?
My god! Yeah, there's a great little video that I'll try and share around that they've done, and it's all like the 20 games that are coming out this year. God of War. There's the remake of Shadow of the Colossus as well, which looks beautiful. So yeah, not enough time, mate.
No. It's been good though so far as well. So yeah, go for it, mate.
So I think that's it. I think, for me, that's definitely 2017 wrapped up. Again, not a great year, but definitely going on the top 5. There's definitely been some games that I have actually appreciated, and what hasn't necessarily been like exactly a classic year for games. Yeah.
No, it's one of them, and you get. The thing is, it's if you've enjoyed games, which we all do, whether it's an indie or not, and I think. For me, it shows I have lacked diversity in gaming, but also you stick to what you like and what you know. So,
but you're still playing the ones that, like I say, Battlefield ones definitely speak for themselves.
Yeah,
mates would always go back to something like that as a first-person shooter anyway. So
yeah, he pisses all over it. But
realise that there's still a network out there for people who are playing them.
Exactly. I mean, and for next year, the one thing I'm looking forward to is E3. There's going to be an announcement of Halo. One way or the other, because Halo 5 is 3 years now, so it should be October. Halo 6, if not, there may be a Gears announcement, but I can't see it because it's only been out for they have abandoned Gears 5 now. So Gears 4, sorry, Gears 5. Right. They've abandoned Gears 4 in the simple respect that they're still going to do the monthly updates for the odd characters and stuff like that, but anything else now, there's no more maps and nothing. So that usually means they're moving on full steam ahead.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yes, but yeah, that's it for me, really. So gaming wise, I'm done, I think.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I could touch on as well, because I think for me, obviously going across several mediums, and this touches on why I was wanting to do this little rebranding as well, across TV and films, especially TV wise as well, there was probably a damn sight more that I would have appreciated over the games that I played as well. But again, as you can probably appreciate, having a young family as well, it isn't always like 3-hour epics seem like a thing of the past, or even going to the cinema sometimes as well when you've actually got a minute to yourself for you and your missus. So I think I really appreciate that we're kind of in this time where TV is not necessarily surpassing, and maybe in some respects it is, but it's almost becoming as important as going to the cinema or films as well. Like the budget and the quality is actually being reinvested within TV. And obviously at the front and center of that is Netflix. Amazon to a certain extent. I don't necessarily think that Amazon have got the same degree of either exclusives or TV shows that they've bought off other TV networks as well. But it probably all started way back in like when the original True Detective came out, and that was almost like a landmark for thinking, oh, fuck me, I don't actually need to go to the cinema to actually have a cinematic experience while I'm here. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So I've got a little rundown here, and hopefully this will be a nice little pointer in the direction of things you may have missed. So I've gone with like the original series that have come out this year as well, and then some of the ones that have returned, some of the classics that have returned as well that have aired this year. So in no particular order whatsoever, because I always find it hard, because I think because of the genre of particular pieces as well, it's very hard for me to pick between some. The first one I've got is A Handmaid's Tale, which, believe it or not, is actually based off an original book by Margaret Atwood. But actually came out as a really, really, really terrible film in the mid-90s, which I think had Robert Duvall in as well. It's a cringeworthy film. It's probably one of those films that was very, very much too young to watch at the time and didn't really understand what was going on. But the basic premise is that it's kind of a dystopian future in which women can't actually conceive anymore as well. So the shortage of reproduction is so much so that like a cult ends up taking over a part of America.
Sam watched it. Sam watched this.
Yeah. It's one of those where the premise itself, if it was kind of hammered home too much, it would probably be very, very unpleasant to watch. Yes. But it's kind of handled in a right way. So, unfortunately for women, they're kind of captured into this cult in which they're obviously forced upon against the will in order to try and reproduce. And there's obviously only a handful of them that would do that as well. It's like some sort of strange ritual. It's like some weird evangelical religion in which they're trying to do it. The main character in it, who is fucking amazing, who played Betty in Mad Men, is Elizabeth Moss. And it kind of all drives from her. She was in Top of the Lake as well, but she's absolutely amazing in it. It is a hard watch as well, which is quite handy when there was other things on at the time that you could actually watch. So even when sort of my wife would say, probably going to put EastEnders or Emmerdale on before I go to bed now. And I'm like, do you know what? I could probably watch that now after watching an episode of it as well. It's quite hard hitting, but amazing. So
I did catch bits of that when she had it on. So yeah,
it was great. And then not showing any favoritism towards the creator of The Wire at all as well, but his new series with James Franco and Maggie Gyllenhaal, it's called The Juice. And the funny thing is, even when my wife talked about it, and when you try and ask, or people would ask you what it's actually based upon, they would think, oh, that seems like a strange. It's actually based on the adult industry, I'll say, within New York in within the 1970s. Yeah. So it's basically around the pimp industry and around like the pornography industry around New York, and how it was kind of almost front and center as well. So pimps were obviously ruling the roost. It's got quite a lot of the original characters from The Wire as well, and typically with David Simon, it's more like a sociological treatment on New York at that time, about everything that they go through. Maggie Gyllenhaal actually plays a prostitute in it, so you kind of see it all from her perspective. She's absolutely amazing in it. I mean, if she doesn't get an Emmy, I'd be very, very surprised. But and James Franco, who I think, give or take stuff like Pineapple Express and End of the World and stuff like that. I know that might be people's bag, but he actually plays two different characters in this. So he plays two brothers. They're obviously very different in their own way as well. You couldn't really it's not something that gets in the way, even though it's him. He plays them both absolutely perfectly. Yeah, that's an incredible. It's again very hard hitting, but really, really immersive. I don't know how he does it, but he manages to get that kind of atmosphere in the place that you're watching, where you kind of just feel like you're actually just plonked in the middle of it, and you're watching all of this go on around you.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, Juice. My other one is Legion, which is actually based on a Marvel character. So it's way back when. So it's based around a character that an English actor plays, where everything is kind of almost based within his head.
Yeah.
But again, it's not necessarily. I think I probably mentioned to you as well before. We get so saturated with superhero films and stuff like that all the time as well. I know we probably mentioned Star Wars at some point at a later date, which I loved as well.
Yeah.
But Legion is actually written by Noah Hawley, who's the guy who wrote the Fargo series. So you know Fargo, the film as well.
Yeah.
The TV series was absolutely brilliant, or at least the first 2 seasons were anyway. But this is the same. How he actually wrote this, because it's actually based inside the guy's head, and he's got all of these sort of psychokinetic powers and everything like that. It's incredible. It's very hard to describe to my friends when you're promoting it, except for just please fucking watch this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love Legion, and I'm really looking forward to the next season. Honourable mention, obviously, to Rick and Morty, which came back for its new season as well, which I absolutely fucking love.
I've never watched it. Everyone goes on about it.
Honestly, mate, it's absolutely incredible. It's just it's pitched beautifully. Frighteningly enough, the science that's within it, it's basically like 2 people that are a parody of Marty and the Doc from Back to the Future. And he's just a crazy sort of alcoholic, misogynistic idiot, but like probably one of the brainiest guys in the universe as well, that go on all of these particular science adventures, and he follows them around. It just becomes particularly very dark at times as well, and almost self-referential the further on in the series it goes as well. So it's very hard to drop somebody into the middle. I think we tried to introduce a friend to it that was like 3 seasons in, and he was just like, what the fuck is actually going on?
Yeah, you need to watch from the start, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. But, it's brilliant. And again, 20-minute episodes, so it's absolutely ideal.
I have to get onto it.
My next one is Star Trek as well, which I was really taken aback by. I didn't think, because obviously I'm trying to think of the last Star Trek series I watched as well. But the new Star Trek series that's on Netflix, which obviously has Netflix budget, as you can imagine as well, just looks fucking incredible. Game of Thrones, typically, that obviously every man and his dog has watched at the moment. Not necessarily its greatest season. I kind of probably still appreciated it a little bit further back in its early days as well. When the dialogue was so rich, and sometimes the best scenes within it, when it was like 2 men in a room talking, or you had Charles Dance. I really miss Charles Dance in it, really. I know it obviously needed to gather pace because it's ending at the moment as well, but it kind of felt like it cheapened itself to a certain extent. But then some of the scenes near the end of the season were just jaw-dropping, absolutely jaw-dropping.
Oh, yeah, the last, with the dragons, when he was throwing that spear. I mean, the thing is, I got the way this is going, it's going to end up like fucking Lost, where I watched Lost and loved the first couple of series, and then I stopped watching it, and Sam carried on watching it, and I picked it up on the last series, and I might as well have. And I was quite happy I didn't watch it in between. And then
horrendous, mate. I stopped watching that in season 2, and I think everyone was the same. I felt sorry for the people who continued watching it.
Yeah, she watched all of them. I've got it on Blu-ray in there. I bought it on Blu-ray for her.
I wouldn't even entertain it for an extra minute.
No.
Season, no.
Exactly, knowing that the fucking ending was exactly what you could have picked up in the first episode. It's like, yeah, forget that. But that's what I'm getting a vibe with Game of Thrones. I stopped watching it again after the 3rd series. We really got into it, and I was like, no, it's just the same shit all the time. And they were introducing characters with no fucking backstories. People just randomly turning up, and I kept thinking, what the fuck is going on here? And usually I'm good with following these programs, and stuff. And I
definitely had its hiccups in the last couple of seasons as well, but I definitely think some of the payoffs with it are definitely. The one good thing is that obviously the writers have worked with George R.R. Martin, so they've obviously come up with the conclusion for themselves. Not necessarily going to be the same in the books, which is good enough. Yeah, but I'm relatively confident that obviously the last episode, which they've just announced now, is actually going to air in 2019.
Yeah.
Will actually be a decent enough conclusion. But yeah, like I say, I always find it hard with something like that that's trying to cater for so many people, or that's having to gather along at pace a little bit. It was so good in the original, like the first couple of seasons.
Oh, it's fucking ace.
Incredible.
Ace.
My next one, again, is a newer season which has come out recently and had some beautiful additions in terms of the characters, and that's Peaky Blinders.
I love it. Love it.
easily the best thing that the BBC do. Stephen Knight, who's created and rated it, is an absolute genius. I think he should be able to bloody write Match of the Day at this point as well. It's that good. He should just be able to do everything on BBC.
So good, so good. The only thing I knew,
yeah,
you've watched the last series, haven't you?
I have watched the last season. Yeah.
I knew that he wasn't dead. Not Tommy. Arthur. I knew Arthur wasn't dead. I said to Sam when we were watching it, I said, he's not dead. She went, why? I said, when the other brother died, they're all the Jippo thing, and they show his body in there, and he said it alight. I said, he's not dead. And she's like, no, he is. I said, he's not. I said, he's such a... you can't have two main characters killed off. I said, it's not like you can just introduce somebody in the full series like this. So it made sense to kill one of them off because...
Yeah, there was
premise of being gangsters. Exactly. One of them gets bumped off.
And for me, I think you've always got to. I mean, I'm going to refer back to The Wire again as well, but they were able to kill off some of the really key characters within that season and still carry on because it's the story that is more important. Yeah. Obviously, it's kind of hard because I think they're so lucky to have Cillian Murphy for as long as they have done. Really, I mean, I know it kind of helps in the fact that they've got 6 episodes a season. So it makes it really punchy as well, and they can drive through a story really quickly. But again, and have you seen Taboo as well, the other series that he's done?
No.
And I mean, and that's where it came off the back of the popularity of Peaky Blinders as well. He was able to write Taboo with Tom Hardy, and again, that's absolutely wonderful. It's brilliant. So, and it was great that they had Adrian Brody.
Oh no, did see Taboo with Tom Hardy?
Yeah, with the
it's good.
With the voodoo, and he
was like the fucking some weird.
Delaney.
Yeah, if you come out the army or something, it was only BBC a few months ago, wasn't it? Yeah, we did. We watched it all the way through. I thought it was quite good, actually.
Yeah, it was really good, and again, a relatively sort of short season as well. So it obviously means that you're able to get these top actors in for not a lot of time in terms of filming.
Yeah, sorry, I did watch that. I thought it was very good, actually.
That'll probably be out soon as well. And then the last 3 I'm going to run through relatively quickly, but obviously for everyone that would know who's seen it before as well. It's obviously very tragic in a way, but incredibly sort of self-referential and hilarious is BoJack Horseman, which is on Netflix as well.
Oh, I've seen it advertised. Yes, I've never watched it.
Again, about a downtrodden sort of actor who's a horse, who was really popular in like a sitcom in the 90s that's still trying to base all of his popularity off that as well. And he's just become a drug-fueled alcoholic who everyone he touches either dies or sort of becomes sort of bound up in all of his misery as well.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's one of those it kind of starts a little bit, not mediocre, but it's kind of warming up. But by sort of halfway through season 1 and into season 2, it just comes into its own. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really good. And again, a Netflix episode, a Netflix series. I reposted an article yesterday, actually, that you might have seen because I think it was either IGN or something like that who were going through all of the best stuff of 2017.
Yes,
so there's obviously an animated series on there called Big Mouth.
No, I don't know that.
Oh my god! Which is basically one of the most depraved. It's like a cartoon about sort of kids growing up and like all of the adolescence or puberty issues that they would go through in school. And each of them, or at least the male and the female equivalents, have these things called the hormone monsters that go around with them. And they basically have all of those depraved thoughts in the head that they keep sharing with them in order to either try and sort of get them in trouble or anything like that. So it just follows around a group of them. But it is absolutely, it's genius. You know, I mean, it's kind of on that right side of, even when it's particularly gross or anything like that, it's all contextual. But it's so well written. It's really good. And my final one is Mr. Robot. It kind of has to be. I watched the final episode of it last night as well. It's kind of one of those things that quite a lot of people will probably have a love-hate relationship in a certain sense because of its style. Like, people would argue sometimes it's style over substance, but then Rami Malek, one of the main actors in it, wouldn't have won an Emmy for his performance for nothing, really. He carries it through. I think if you've ever seen a series that was on HBO called The Pacific,
I love The Pacific. Love The Pacific.
Yeah, he was one of the main characters in that as well, and he's the main character in this. The soundtrack in it is, I think, like nothing I've ever heard before as well. It's absolutely amazing. So it's just finished its 3rd season now as well. But the problem that we had with it, we were all watching it as a group.
Yeah.
And it probably had one of the most disappointing endings of a season in the first season that we'd ever had. And that not scared people away, but obviously people didn't want to watch it because they just thought that it was pretentious trash. It really has picked it around in the second and third season. And having watched the last episode last night, it was amazing.
No, that's good.
Yeah, really. So that's me. That's me for TV, mate. That's a really sort of, again, with something that we can invest stuff in with the wife as well. It's kind of good that it's been at that kind of level of quality.
No, exactly. I think I'd written a couple down for TV this year. One's just coming to my head that I hadn't written down. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to TV, I love reality stuff, mate. I fucking love it. I'll sit there and watch just some shit. The Kardashians, the fucking hip-hop, loving hip-hop. This is what we're saying, total polar opposites. Fucking, I can just watch some shit. If there's a camera following somebody around a fucking sweet shop and it's on telly, I will watch it. I'm fucking terrible. I love reality shit, Big Brother and all that shit. I watch it all, fucking dickhead. But a couple of things this year that I've just finished watching The Punisher, and the Punisher I thought was really good.
Yeah.
And there's about 3 episodes. Around about the 8th episode, it started to really sort of thin out and go a bit too fucking slow, because obviously they do them over about 13 episodes. So I love Daredevil. Daredevil's one of my fucking favourite shows.
I loved the first season of Daredevil.
Oh, excellent.
I loved
excellent.
it.
So good. I mean, the thing is, what was leading up, I watched The Punisher and I thought, we've just finished watching it because we've both been ill. And I watched about 5 episodes the other day. Great. Loads of action. Exactly how The Punisher is in the second series of Daredevil is how the series ends. But there's like this thing in the middle where it's like, I understand what The Punisher's about and how he gets sick of his wife and his kids and all that stuff. That's the whole point of who he is, Frank Castle. But it just seemed that dehumanized him too much, because considering the Punisher series was after Daredevil and when he'd had the fight with the King.
Yeah, and they'd probably gone into
that people. And it didn't make sense that they sort of made him humanized, as in quite soft, as if all the stuff that happened in Daredevil should have happened after.
Yeah. Or
the
at least,
series, because
he's an anti-hero, though, isn't he, in so many ways? That's so you're not supposed to like him. I mean, you understand the context in which he's kind of turned like that as well.
Yeah. But I thought it was good. And then what I didn't like this year was I watched that fucking Iron Fist was fucking terrible. The fight scenes were just, I thought I was really looking forward to that. It was fucking wank.
Good. I'm glad you said that, because to be honest, I kind of was dropping out at the end of. We kind of got through it, but again, I thought there was too many episodes, and I think there is with the Marvel series. I think there's 13 is too many episodes or something like that as well. It should be like almost like Peaky Blinders, like 6 or 8 episodes would be perfect for
quality. It. Yeah, because the thing is I did the same with Luke Cage. I saw Luke Cage coming through Jessica Jones, and I didn't watch Jessica Jones, and I watched 2 episodes of it. Well, that's
apparently it's supposed to be, I was going to say it's supposed to be at least one of the better ones, isn't it?
Yeah, because David Tennant's in it, and he's the baddie in it, but. Luke Cage, I thought I would have loved this. First few episodes, great. And what I didn't understand is the main antagonist to Luke Cage, they killed him off in like the 3rd episode. So it's like
Remy Danton in Cards.
They killed him off straight away, and it was like, what the fuck is going on? And they never really replaced him. And then it was like some random guy who was supposed to be his brother who had the same sort of superpowers, sort of, or some family thing, and it didn't make sense. So I've not even watched it. And then. I mean, Iron Fist, I thought was fucking awful. It was the worst casting. The guy who they should have cast Iron Fist is someone who he fights in like the 2nd episode. He was the guy who was up for the role with him, but they give him a role.
It's the guy from Game of Thrones, isn't it? It's Marjorie's brother in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. He's a proper karate expert. He's Asian. Everything about his look is what Iron Fist is about. He's not some fucking curly Kevin Keegan fucking permed who just, you know what I mean? He's just,
he's obviously not going to turn the role down, is he? But it's just
terrible.
Like a bad fit. Yeah.
But the choreography of the fights was, considering it's from the same world as the Daredevil, which looked real as can be when you fight
that's one of the things that stood out for me is how incredible the fight scenes were in Daredevil.
Yeah, and then you watch Iron Fist, and it was like watching something from the 70s or a Chuck Norris film where it was like they were pulling the punches, and you're like, you can see he's not hitting, but they're going down like they've just been run over by a truck. And I was like,
wonder whether it was one of those things where they were kind of pressed for time. They realised they were making the Defenders series. They needed to
exactly
do it as well. Just don't make a fucking series. Just introduce Iron Fist into the Defenders series.
I didn't. I mean, to be fair, I thought the Defenders wasn't very good either. To be honest.
And again, I don't try and base everything off Metacritic and stuff like that, but it's a good steer for stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. I'd say what I was thinking. It's just come in my head. One of the series of this year, and I fucking absolutely loved it. And I'm watching that Mafia at the moment on BBC, which I didn't read up on it. I thought it was about the fucking Irish mafia, but it's about Russian. It's to do with the Jewish and like the Russian mafias and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's that lad who was in that Happy Valley. He was like the baddie. He was the priest in that other series and stuff. He seems to have done really well for himself. And it started off really well. First episode, the first 10 minutes, I was like, "Oh, here we go! It's another BBC trying to be a bit thingy," but it wasn't. It's actually pretty good. But then the episode last night, or whenever the second episode was, we watched it last night. That was a bit slower, but there was still some good bits in it. But one of my favourite programs of last year, or recently, was The Hotel Manager with Tom Hiddleston.
Oh no, I've not watched it. And again, everyone said that. Yeah, it's supposed to be amazing.
Oh mate, you've got that. Would be on the iPlayer. That you've got to watch it.
I should definitely watch it, or it'll
be so good. It's like a James Bond type.
Yeah.
Series, but he's really good in it. Hugh Laurie, honestly, Hugh Laurie's so good in it. You'll binge watch it. He's on that again. That's only about 4 or 5 episodes. It's not something. It's just our episodes. It's not laborious where you've got to watch 2 or 3 shit.
Yeah, I should do.
It's good. It's really good, and it's not something that it's not far-fetched enough where you think it's like he's taking on 10 blokes on his own or he's doing this. It's actual sort of real the way it's filmed. They're supposed to be doing a new series. I recommend that. I think it's a really good.
Yeah, especially if they're going to do a new one as well. And I know that it's quite punchy. Yeah, everyone who's watched it, it was really good.
It's good. It's really good. But yeah, that's me for the TV stuff, mate.
Yeah. So you switch on to films quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, the first thing I'm going to mention is Dunkirk, mate.
Great.
I was devastated that I didn't get to watch it either at the IMAX or the pictures as well. But as you can imagine, getting time out and being knackered and thinking that you want to at least be awake to invest in it. But yeah, we watched it the other night as well. It's brilliant in the sense that it's not character driven either, as much as Harry Styles has probably got some of the best dialogue in it. And I was quite surprised in his acting chops as well. It's kind of just an event piece, really, in the way that he's able to create sort of immersion and tension within it, considering it is only an hour and a half long, which is relatively short for Chris Nolan's films.
Yeah.
Just everything. I mean, it's probably the best combination of writer, director, and music curator as well, and with having Hans Zimmer alongside him. I thought, good. When I watched Interstellar as well, the soundtrack for that is something that I would listen to on its own, and then I would want to watch Interstellar again, obviously. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and I thought it kind of pays homage to the incident itself really well. It doesn't sort of blow it out of proportion as well. It's just a treatment on these guys who are not necessarily heroes. They're just trying to get back home and survive.
Exactly. And then I mean, the whole premise of it, and obviously I know you've got the Peaky Blinders connection because Cillian Murphy's a bit of an absconder, isn't he? And then you've got Tom Hardy's the pilot. And I must admit, I was pissing myself in the cinema when I watched it. The fucking first thing he said just sounded like Bane.
With his mask on.
I was nudging Sam going, it just sounds like Bane. It's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But honestly, I was like proper into the whole thing. And I like the fact, like with that guy and his son who were on the boat and everything, and he rescued so many people.
Yeah, Mark Rylance is a great actor, and he's kind of having like a bit of a honeymoon period in later on in his career as well, because he was in that espionage film, wasn't he, with Tom Hanks?
Oh yes, yeah,
and it was Tom Hanks that had obviously picked him out from that. He's kind of going from strength to strength, thankfully as well. But yeah, he's brilliant in that. I mean, it looks beautiful as well. I mean, he's so detailed in the way his cinematography looks as well. So yeah, disappointed I didn't see it in the pictures, but it's still ultimately good.
No, great film.
Do we talk about Star Wars then, mate?
Yeah, I've seen it twice. All right.
What do you think? All right. Well, look, the set pieces in it and some of the ways that it gets to those are just absolutely mind blowing. I mean, especially and obviously try to keep it spoiler free as well, but the fight in the throne room where Snoke is and everything like that, my jaw was on the floor for the entire time that was on as well.
Great, that, yeah, really.
And
good.
that's the thing that kind of lends itself towards the cinema, not just being in there for the big screen and the sound, but the audience as well, and listening to their reactions from it. That obviously, that little bit where Rey flicks the lightsaber to Kylo Ren and he just flicks it on once and it goes through the guy's head. I mean, I was pissing myself, but at the same time in awe. And I think it obviously makes Luke Skywalker cool as well. It kind of does a lot of justice to him in it as well. And obviously, without not going into particular detail, my only kind of gripe with it as well, as much as the physical humor in it was really good, it's just the dialogue sometimes just struck me as being a little bit odd. And it was one of my friends who obviously picked it up as well, and I just thought it was me. But parts of it almost felt like an episode of The Office, or like it was an outtake or something like that. Yeah. It just seemed a little bit kind of separate from it as well. The particular point is where Daisy Ridley is trying to feel the Force, and he gets her to put her hands out and he tickles her finger with his leaf. And I was just like, that's a bit odd. It's really a bit removed from it as well. You know, I probably laughed at the time as well, but at the time, I was like, it's just doesn't feel like it fits the kind of framework of this, you know. But at least, you know, we're talking about, I'm not going to be critical about something when I have had a lifetime of going through episodes 1, 2, and 3, which were just an abomination. So
yeah. Well, Phantom Menace is just fucking disgrace, but it's like a fucking comedy. It's like a parody, that fucking by that Mel Brooks one that came out years ago. Fucking terrible. Spaceballs, was it?
Spaceballs, there you go. Spaceballs, yeah.
It's like a fucking parody. It's just terrible. But no, I'm one of these, man. I go all in with the hype of it, and I loved it. Went to the midnight launch. There's 4 of us when I've done it the last 3 years. Great, had a great time. But when I went to watch it the second time, I enjoyed it more because I could take in what was going on in some of the scenes, and that, like, I picked up on a few of the things at the end that I sort of ended up, after I watched it, reading some of the spoilers then, or some of the write-ups, what people liked and disliked and things I'd not picked up on. So when I actually watched it again, you see some Easter eggs and things like that. And like, you know when they go to is it Candu, whatever it's called, the one where they're all gambling and stuff. Yeah. Candu something. Yeah. That little alien's putting coins in BB-8, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's Mark Hamill. That it's his voice and stuff, and he was supposed to. I don't think he was dressed up, but it's his voice and everything, and sort of mannerisms they used for that character. There's a few things that I saw as Easter eggs afterwards regarding, like Prince Harry and Prince William are the two sort of stormtroopers who arrest him on that Cantu. Oh wow! They arrest Finn and that Asian girl. Now, the two, you say, if you look out for 2 tall stormtroopers, and then apparently in the trench at the end, you know, where the salt thing. Yeah. Well, if you look down the line, obviously you've got the director of the last one is in that trench, but Gary Barlow's in there, and there's about 3 or 4 actors who are in there. James Corden's in there, isn't he, and stuff like that. Not in that bit.
James Corden gets shot in the face.
He's in something, in the start. He's at the start, I think. Well, hopefully he gets shot,
I was going to say, if he gets brutally murdered, then that's all right.
He's at the start. I think he's in one of the ships at that. But Gary Barlow and that are in the trench at the end in that final scene.
But yeah, I don't, I'm not going to be hypercritical. It's unfortunately one of these fanboy things that the hyperbole around it is just ridiculous. It's a fucking science fiction film that you're trying to pick plot holes in, for God's sake. Yeah. It's Jesus Christ. But absolutely loved it. Again, it's more about the experiences of going to the cinema, and that's just an incredible cinematic experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I mean, Rogue One, I thought was a great film. Yeah. Watched it, everything. But I've never gone and bought it, whereas all the other ones I've got. And not because I didn't like it. I thought it was a great film. Yeah. But I went and saw it in fucking IMAX 3D. So that CGI shit with Princess Leia and Peter Cushing was fucking awful on the IMAX in 3D. But when I've seen it since in 2D, yeah, you can tell that it's it's like a computer game, but it's
Yeah,
not as bad.
Not for 3D, mate, at
We had
all.
it fucking melting when we saw it. It was like Princess Leia just looked like, what the fuck is this shit? It was like a low budget thing. I remember going out the cinema thinking, why the fuck did he even bother with that? I just wouldn't have even.
But yeah, it's a quality, and it's quite nicely removed from everything else as well, because it kind of feels.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah,
Star Wars good.
Yeah.
So my third one to note, and as I said, I've not been able to actually make a top 10 because I still have a list of a lot of films that I need to see. But my other one, I'm trying to think of what the comedy duo is called now. Key and Peele, the American comedy duo, the two black guys. It was Peele who actually wrote this, which for me just feels like an episode of Black Mirror as well, but it's called Get Out.
All right.
Which is it's absolutely incredible. It's kind of based around a guy who is friends with a girlfriend and goes towards this like strange sort of like white family background setting as well, and the guy within it is starting to realize that there's quite a lot of black people around who are either butlers or anything like that, who are helping around the house, who are all acting a bit peculiar.
Yeah.
Then the story kind of starts to transpire from that they're actually maybe held there against the will in some sort of unnatural form. I am trying my best here to not spoil it for those people who haven't seen it yet that want to watch it. But for anyone that knows or has seen anything like Black Mirror, they would probably understand in the kind of realms in which it would start to dive into as well. The guy in it was actually in an episode of Black Mirror as well. Whose name has lost me at the moment, but it's a wonderful film. It's really, really well paced, but for what I think is probably his writing debut of that comedy duo as well, Peele as well, it's really, really good, and it will kind of keep you gripped to the end. I'm not kind of in this camp of it's the best thing since sliced bread, as some reviewers have been like that as well, but it's definitely one of the best films that I've seen this year based on the small number of films that I've seen.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, good.
The other one would be because I probably just loved the trilogy, actually, in terms of any of the sort of big, just because we're just saturated by superhero films, aren't we? But the latest Planet of the Apes installment.
Great film.
Great film. Planet of the Apes as well. Again, a brilliant experience to be at the cinema to see it as well.
Woody Harrelson's very underrated in that.
He's great, but he's a great actor as well. I obviously point back to the first season of True Detective that he was in, where he was one of the best things in it, as well as Matthew McConaughey as well.
I think his best work was in White Men Can't Jump and Chill. He's always going to be Billy Hoyle for me because I love White Men Can't Jump.
But he's done all right. He's kind of, again, he's having a little bit of a renaissance in his career. Andy Serkis, again, does really good things. Yeah, it's just a shame that he isn't as successful when he's just playing himself. But
no,
yeah, it's a wonderful film put together, and again, a really good experience at the cinema. One of the surprises for me, and this is me harking back to the saturation that we have with all these superhero films. And it was good that it was kind of like a removal from the franchise in the fact that they could make it an 18. They could really tell quite a gritty story and not have to dilute it for a younger audience, was Logan, which is obviously the story of Old Man Logan from when Wolverine is older, in his olden days as well. Have you seen it?
Sorry, you went off.
Oh, no.
You went off.
Am I back now?
You're back, you went off it. You started going on to what the next thing was you were going to.
So I'd obviously, speaking about Logan.
Oh God, I've got that on my list here. Logan, fucking great film,
absolutely incredible. I was so taken aback by it because I just thought it's going to be one of these things that I can wait, and it's family friendly. I can watch it with my folks when I go home or anything like that. It's anything but. It's got absolutely everything. The young actress that's in it as well is just insane. She is absolutely insane in it.
She's good in that. X-23, isn't she?
Yeah. But yeah, it kind of shows that if you're able to take the stabilizers off, as it were, and actually be able to direct something quite gritty and within context as well, especially with the acting talent. Put Hugh Jackman in the right kind of film and he's directed well, then for me, he's absolutely amazing.
That's a great film. I love X-Men anyway, and Wolverine.
Exactly, yeah, all the original stuff. So it's great that they could have been able to put something together like that.
Very good film.
The last two that I will mention, fucking hell, this one, I think just because I want someone else to experience it, because it was probably one of the most harrowing experiences of a film that I've ever had in my life, and I just want somebody else to go through the horror. It's a film called It Comes at Night.
I've not seen that.
Oh, fucking hell, mate, honestly. So it's a film with Joel Edgerton and Christopher Abbott as well, and Carmen Echo. So it's a really sort of minimal production as well. But the best way to describe it is like a psychological horror film as well, that's kind of based around the end of the world in terms of a virus. So think of like 28 Days Later as well, but like everyone has to be locked outside, and all the people that are infected sort of come out at night. So whatever has infected them, the light is the thing that kind of takes them away. And it's obviously then based on like the human element of paranoia. So they take in a family, but they don't know whether they've got any infections or anything instead, and they've got a dog, and the dog goes missing at one particular point, and they don't necessarily know whether the dog has sort of harbored infections. So even though they're getting on well as couples, the survival element is kicking in, and they're almost like removing themselves from each other in this house as well, and they still don't know whether there's any sort of sanctuary outside of the house as well. So it's it's incredibly gripping, but I would like to say that there is a happy ending at the end, but for God's sake, someone else watch it so they can experience the kind of misery that I went through when I was watching it. It's so, that's not to the detriment of it being really, really well put together with a great soundtrack as well, especially with the kind of budget that it had and then the amount that it made at the box office, which is really good to see as well. But yeah, it is quite harrowing, but it's a really good film, and I love Joel Edgerton as well. He's done
he's good
films.
Yeah, he's good.
It's obviously creeping back onto the sort of anime stuff as well, which I think is probably few and far between now, especially if we think of stuff like all the Studio Ghibli films and everything like that of the past, which I've absolutely loved. Is a film called Your Name.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, which was wonderful because it kind of harks back to things like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and other films like that as well. But it's kind of a great story about like a couple that are kind of separated by time as well, without trying to spoil the story again. But the plot's really good. It's beautifully put together as well. By I'm trying to think of what the director's called at the moment, but most of his back catalogue is amazing. It's called Makoto Shinkai. He's done some really good. What's it called? 5 millimeters per second and A Place Promised in Our Early Days as well. But they're really good, kind of like adult anime stuff as well. But yeah, that's a beautiful film. But again, that is probably it for me. I've probably got a list of more films that I want to see than I have seen.
No, it is what it is. I mean, I was looking at. I put Logan down, Dunkirk's down. I'd put a couple of disappointments like Justice League, and Ben Affleck's never going to be Batman. Fucking Bobbins. I watched that the other day. Look, I didn't see it at the cinema, but
glad you've watched it and not me, mate. Yeah.
And the director's cut, when Batman v Superman, director's cut's better than the Batman v Superman, to be fair. But that's 3 hours long. But it makes sense what actually that whole film was about. In regard to good films this year, John Wick 2 is good, not as good as the first.
Oh yeah, I've got that. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think it was as good as the first, but it's a cracking film. But
I love the original.
Oh yeah, the fucking originals are ace. You can't beat them fucking scenes when he kicks his shit out of it.
It's great, isn't it? Just like a nuts and bolts action film like that. It's top quality.
I'm getting shouted at, I think. I'm getting shouted at. We'll have to wrap it up soon, mate, I think. One thing I did like this year was Patriot Day from Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, about the marathon bombings.
Boston bombings, wasn't it? He's from there as well, and it's a good film. Because to be fair, I didn't realise they were on the run and stuff. The guys who'd done it, I didn't realise, when they caught and they were in a fucking boat and all that stuff. But it's a cracking film, really good film, and obviously true to life as well, because it's, I didn't know the actual real stuff behind how they caught the guys who'd done it.
Me neither, but again,
it's a good film. Good film. One thing I would say, it's not a film; it's a documentary. If you get a chance, I love the documentaries and things like that.
Me too.
Have you seen Icarus yet on Netflix?
No.
Icarus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. Icarus is about the guy who systematically invented the Russian doping doping system at the Olympics and through cycling. And are you there?
I am.
Oh, sorry, it went off. Sorry. And what it was is the guy is a reporter, and what he does is he gets a load of drugs and goes on the same cycle of drugs that Lance Armstrong went on. Because there's a good film about Lance Armstrong on Netflix about what a bastard he was and a liar and stuff about taking steroids and that. And it sort of leads on to that, this Icarus, and it's really good because the Russian guy is giving him the stuff, and he's got like all these fucking pee. He's in a fridge, and it's at different temperatures, and he's going through what the numbers are, what his testosterone levels are at, and all this. And it's for like a local race. He's sort of like an amateur cyclist, like a Tour de France, but on a smaller scale in America or whatever. And then it comes to light when they're filming this that this Russian guy then gets indicted by the American government for the Olympics, for all the Russian team and everything. And then it spreads to like the football and other sports and that, like people taking shit, which they've said that anyway for elite athletes for years, which I believe anyway. They've got intrinsic and very clever ways of not getting detected. Like Lance Armstrong, every night after he would race, there was a reporter who was adamant he was on stuff, and this Lance Armstrong was a bastard and just totally ostracised this guy. All the reports turned on him. He was thrown out. And what Lance Armstrong was doing was he was meeting up with a doctor in like caravans, like Winnebagos, hotel rooms, having blood transfusions every night. So in the morning,
he was clean.
He was clean. So, but then the only reason that come out is when he got cancer, his best friend, who was a cyclist with him, went with him to the hospital, and he said, "Are you taking anything?" Because you got to give him treatment. And then he said, "Yeah, I'm on steroids." But he'd already been in front of like the government and everything, and sworn under oath, that he wasn't taking anything, because he was the only man who'd ever done an uphill stage of the Tour de France and was going faster as he went up the hill, which is physically impossible. And that was after he'd had the cancer and stuff. So it was just bullshit. But he harangued this reporter who just got totally thrown out by the whole of the Tour de France sort of press and everything. And he was adamant he was on something. And it comes obviously thinking that he was. But so that film about Lance Armstrong's on there. Well, Icarus is a great one because
I'll check it out.
Because that guy's got to leave his wife and everything. It shows it in the documentary, having to sort of go into witness protection and that, because they put like hits on him and everything. So good, really good. I'm gonna have to wrap it up now, mate.
That's good. I think that's good to end it there as well. That's good. That's a nice point.
Well, it's been good this, mate. Because what we'll do is, I think what we should do is, if we're going to do a film one and stuff, we should do them maybe as a separate thing as well. Because then it doesn't. I didn't want you to feel as if you were rushing, but obviously I'm up so early as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, you didn't want to go into it. That's good.
Your knowledge of stuff with the films and TV is far superior than mine, and obviously it's a good thing for me as well, because I'm picking up on stuff there. I've been writing them down on my phone as we're going, different things to look into.
Good.
So, but I need to show you something after this.
Yeah, all right. So we'll close it down there. I'm happy about that as well.
Top, mate. Top tonight. I know it's been a long one.
But for everyone else as well. Yeah, but I mean, I think if you look at everyone else's reviews of 2017 as well, they're usually over the regular time anyway. But yeah,
it's good, mate. Really good. Thank you for coming on, mate. As always, you know the score. So this has been episode 21 of Contextual Podcast. Big thanks to my good friend, Mr. Andrew Pez Hunter, soon to be Hunter, with the new name to be revealed soon. We'll see you again.
Take care.
This is the Contextual Podcast with Hulkamania 7-8 and Steve-O chilling. The UK's #1 gaming podcast.